Hey guys, MVSC1 again, and today I've got a really interesting deck idea I came up with. This is a completely rogue deck that I just thought of last night, or a couple nights ago. I just never really put it into action until today because I didn't think it would be good, and I just didn't have the cards for it, and I still don't have all the cards for it, so there's a couple things proxied in this list, but I just want to go over the list. So it's a Kangaskhan reuniclus deck. Um, you can see the combination really easily. Tons of HP, and then manipulate the damage so that your Mega Kangaskhan just never gets knocked out. So that's basically the idea behind the deck. So we'll start with the Pokemon, and I'll just give you the list. So I used this today at just a regular league tournament, and there wasn't enough people there, so I didn't really get to play very much. I only got to play for 3 rounds, and I went 2 wins and 1 loss, and my 1 loss was to Freezing Genesect, and I'll explain what I did wrong about that in a second. But keep in mind, this is my first day playing this deck, and I haven't tested with it at all until today, so I'm still trying to figure it out. Plus, it's not an archetype anybody has ever used, so it's kind of like I've got to figure it out for myself. So, the Mega Kangaskhan line is just 2 Mega Kangaskhan, 2 regular Kangaskhan. Like I said, I don't have all the cards, so we just have a proxy for the Mega and the regular, and I think those are the only proxies in this deck, actually. I ended up getting the cards for everything else. So, yeah. People just let me borrow the cards today to use the deck, so that was really nice of everybody. But yeah, basically you just set up this huge, bulky Pokemon with 230 HP, and then they really can't do anything about it. I'd like to do a third Kangaskhan EX, just to get it out more quickly, but this has worked fine since I have the 1 heavy ball too, so... so that's my Kangaskhan we have. This is going to seem really weird, and that's because it is really weird. This is a Pokemon that I don't think has been in any Tier 1 deck ever. We have Lotad and Ludicolo. So, Ludicolo's ability, Rain Dish, is any time between turns you can heal 20 damage from this Pokemon. And that Pokemon works really well with Reuniclus because you can move damage off of Kangaskhan to Ludicolo with Damage Swap and then heal the damage between turns with Ludicolo. So, you can use Wham Bam Punch and then do damage, and then between turns you heal the damage that your opponent did to your Kangaskhan on the last turn, and then they attack, do damage, and then you heal it going back into your turn. And you heal 40 damage just between turns. So it's really good. It's like you can make it so sometimes your opponent can't even do any damage because you just heal it all off. So that's really nice. The other way that you can do it is with Reuniclus. I've tried it with Reuniclus, and I've tried it with Ludicolo. I did run it with Reuniclus today. I just had 2 Reuniclus, and then I took out these 2 for 2 other spots. I don't remember exactly what I had for those 2 other spots, but I think it was like a max potion and one other thing. But I figured you need less max potion if you have Ludicolo because it's going to heal more damage than Cresselia is. I also had a Champions Festival today because my friend let me borrow it, but I don't have one. I just have the 3 Tropical Beaches, so that's one option too. You can run a Tropical or Champions Festival with this deck because the way Reuniclus works is you can move the damage however you want. So if you just put 1 damage counter on each of your Pokemon and then use Champions Festival, you can heal 60 damage just like that. So that in combination with Ludicolo can heal 100 damage per turn, which is ridiculous. And then on top of that, you have Max Potion and Pokemon with crazy high HP, like 230. So I think you guys get the idea. It's ridiculous once it sets up. It basically just doesn't lose after it sets up. But the one problem behind the deck is that number right here. 30 HP and 90 HP. This is the big problem with the deck. The thing that basically makes the whole deck work has so little HP that it's hard to make it work because things like Darkrai, Kyurem, Greninja, Lysander, Catcher, and Red Signal all mess this thing up pretty badly. So, on the first turn, you basically have to get 2 Solosis down because your opponent is gonna. Oh, also Landorus destroys it too. Because your opponent is probably gonna have some way to knock out this thing if you don't put 2 down, and if they don't, they'll have some way on the next turn or something like that. Because every deck has like a gust of wind effect, as they call it, like Lysander or Catcher or Red Signal, or they have Darkrai or Landorus or any of those other things. So that 30 HP really sucks. I had Mr. Mime before, but the bench space is just so tight, and the deck list is so tight, I could not fit it. And I realized that a lot of the time it actually wasn't even the Darkrai or the Kyurem or the Landorus, those effects that do 30 to the bench. It was usually just like a catcher effect, like Red Signal or any of those other ones I just mentioned. So, yeah, Damage Swap is just the thing you use to move all the damage around. It's super good. Great great ability. I just wish he had more HP, because 90 is still really low. If they hit the bench 3 times, this thing's knocked out. But the thing is, you can just move the damage off and then heal it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and for that reason, I don't have the Mr. Mime. If you couldn't move the damage off, I think I would have to include Mr. Mime. But since you can, it makes it so that you can kind of just get away with no Mr. Mime. And plus, those Pokemon that do damage to the bench aren't very popular anymore. So that's basically, these are basically the Heart and Soul of the deck. That's what makes the deck work. And then we have some text here. So we have one Virizion, and this is just so that Mega Kangaskhan can't be affected by special conditions while he's in the active, because he's pretty much going to stay in the active position like the whole game once you set up. He's not gonna get knocked out because you just move the damage off. But the thing is, laser damage can add up really quickly, and you just have the Virizion. Because you don't need any special type of energy in this deck, because Mega Kangaskhan just takes colorless. So because of that, you can take advantage of Virizion. So you just run the Run Virizion to get rid of that. Helps a lot against the Yveltal matchup. Okay, and then these are the other one-ofs. We have one Zekrom, one Reshiram, and one Mewtwo. One Mewtwo is just because I find a lot of the time that I have all these extra energy, and I can just power up something just in case the Kangaskhan does get knocked out, or if I need to retreat the Kangaskhan and then use Mewtwo to knock out a threat, or Lysander something up that's getting powered up on the bench, like a Yveltal with like 8 energy, or not 8 energy, that's ridiculous, like 6 energy or something like that, which can happen because they'll just set it up forever so that they can knock out the Kangaskhan in one hit, which is what they have to do. And so what you can do is Lysander that up, and then use Mewtwo to knock it out so that they can't get away with that. That's pretty much the same reasoning behind Zekrom. If they just do 70 damage to you, and you just have 70 damage on their board anywhere, you can just move it to Zekrom, retreat, and then Outrage, and do 90 damage, times 2 because of weakness to Yveltal, and one-shot it. You can also one-shot Empoleon, Tornadus, and I think there's some other EXs that are weak to electric, but mostly you just have this to make it so that you can one-shot Yveltal. Because one of the big weaknesses with Kangaskhan is it just doesn't do enough damage. It does 100, and then you flip until you get tails, and you do 30 more for each heads. The thing is, that's pretty much almost always two-shotting, and sometimes you just need to one-shot things. So that's why you have the Mewtwo and Zekrom. Then the Reshiram, this is pretty obviously to help against Virizion Genesect. It's essentially the same idea. You move 70 damage to Reshiram, just because you have 70 damage on your board somehow, and then you can one-shot their Virizion or Genesect, or really anything. It's just kind of like a closer card, a card to close the game out or knock out anything you need to one-shot. So, yeah, for those two reasons, I run the Reshiram and Zekrom. I think they're very good, and I really like it. Today I didn't run the Reshiram, and that's actually why I got my one loss to Virizion Genesect today. I also had my second Lysander prized, and if I didn't have that prized, I definitely would have won, because he had a G booster on this Genesect and all this energy on it, and I just couldn't do anything about it because I don't run Megaphone in this deck. So yeah, I really just couldn't do anything about it. So anyway, yeah, this deck does have a very bad matchup against Garbodor. If you want to add cards to this deck to make it so it has a better match against Garbodor, you can. You're welcome to try, but I just accept the auto loss. So yeah, anyway, A-Spec is Dowsing Machine. This is mostly just to recover, just any item you need, a supporter, maybe your Tropical Beach, or maybe your one Max Potion, or a Level Ball, or any of the balls you really need. Also, Rare Candy can help since you run 2 Stage 2 lines. I find this is just the best. Also, if you run one Champions Festival, this can get that back, so that's very nice. One Max Potion, this is just to heal more damage. I find that I don't need it very much, though. And I had 3 originally, actually, and I just went down to 1 because I never really needed more than 2 at the most. And I figured if I have Ludicolo, I'm also going to heal more damage, so I'm not going to need Max Potion as much. So, yeah, that's why we have the 1 Max Potion. And we have 1 Super Rod. This is basically only to recover Solosis. Solosis and reuniclus are very fragile, like you know, so they're going to go to the discard fairly often. But that's pretty much the only thing that's going to go to the discard pile, because your Mega Kangaskhan is not getting knocked out, very much at all. And then if your opponent has a Ketchering effect or Lysander or something like that, they're only really going to go for the reuniclus, because that's the thing that they want to knock out the most. So Super Rod is just for that. Also, not very often, but sometimes you can put back energy. You don't really need to most of the time, though, just because you only really need to have the DC and the grass energy attached to Kangaskhan, and then all the other energy you can just put on Mewtwo if you want. So, yeah, you mostly just have the Super Rod for putting back Solosis. And then the balls. We have a lot of balls. Uh, we have 7, 2 level and 1 heavy ball. So 4 Ultra Ball is obviously just to grab anything. Since there's so many different Pokemon, you need to have that versatility to grab anything. So Ultra Ball is very good for just grabbing whatever you need. Level Ball can grab Solosis and reuniclus, which is really nice. It's rare that they have a Pokemon that you can level ball for the basic and the stage 2 version of. So that's really cool. Also, it can grab Lotad, and I think that's it. But either way, being able to grab so many Pokemon is really powerful with Level Ball. So I've even considered adding a third one in place of the Heavy Ball, but I'm not sure. We'll see how that works. Heavy Ball can grab Ludicolo, Kangaskhan, or Mega Kangaskhan. So it's really great for those purposes. And basically the thing is, if you set up, you're probably going to win. But basically as fast as you can set up, the better. So that's why you have so many balls. And I find that they're basically just dead cards later, but the thing is, you don't really need supporters after you set up. You kind of just need one max potion sometimes. But besides that, the deck really, all the strategy is on the field already, so you don't really need to draw or anything. That's also why Lysander is so good in this deck, because you don't really need draw support cards anymore, so Lysander just helps. But anyway, so there's that. And then we have 4 Rare Candy. This is obviously just to evolve Solosis or reuniclus and Lotad Ludicolo. 4 is standard in stage 2 decks. And then we have 2 Floatstone. Don't run Switch, just because you have Virizion to shut off status conditions, so you don't really need Switch. And this is just a way to retreat. I usually find that I put this on whatever I start with, so I try to start with something to wall, just to take damage. So like a Cresselia is really nice for that. Now it's gone, but it's really nice for that. If you can have a Virizion active or one of the Outrage Pokemon, it's really nice too. But you're gonna need to retreat with them, so you can just put a Floatstone on one of them and retreat to your Kangaskhan whenever you're ready to start attacking after you set up. So that's why we have the Floatstone. And then as far as stadiums go, we just have 3 Tropical Beach. This is just for setting up in the beginning. You're going to need to set up for like 3 turns usually, maybe 4. So Tropical Beach is great for accelerating that. Like I said, Champions Festival is great in this deck. If I had 2 Champions Festival, I would take out one of these for Champions Festival and probably take the Max Potion out for another one. So yeah, if you have that and want to run that, it's better to do that instead. But yeah, this is great for setting up in the beginning. It helps a lot with that. Yeah. It's not necessary in the deck, though. I should point that out. And then as far as draw support goes, we have 4N. This is just standard in every deck. It's really good if your opponent takes a lot of prizes early because, like I said, you don't really need to draw anything after you're set up. So you can just continually end them down to low hand sizes. And you might go to a low hand size too, but it doesn't really matter because you just don't need to draw anything. We just have 3 Juniper. You can do 4. I just went with a 3, though, because you have so many Pokemon you need to set up. And I just felt like other supporters were better, and you don't need as many now that you have 3 Tropical Beaches, because that's going to be doing a lot of draw support too. So I found 3 was all I needed. And then we just have 3 Skyla. You can do 4 if you want, but I honestly, even though it is a stage 2 deck, and Skyla will help with grabbing those rare candies and those any of the Ultra Ball or anything you need to get the Pokemon, the stage 2 Pokemon on the next turn, I just really think that Skyla isn't that necessary since you have such a high ball count. 4 Skyla. 3 Skyla is great because you can grab the Max Potion or Support or anything you really need. Even the Tropical Beaches are really nice. So yeah, 3 Skyla is great. Yeah, you might even want to go down. I mean, maybe add a second Colress, but yeah, so we just have 1 Colress. I'd like to have 2. I had 3 for a while, actually. It's really nice because you fill up your bench super fast. But the thing is, it's kind of a luxury card. Like, it'll help, but you don't need it. Like, things like N and Juniper definitely serve purposes. And they're both good early game. And Chorus just really isn't that good early game, so that's why you just have the 1. 2 is definitely okay, though. I mean, if you don't have Tropical Beaches or something, or if you just need to cut, if you just have a spot somewhere, I'd definitely add a second Chorus. It's very good. I might even take out one of the Skyless for a Chorus. And then we just have 2 Lysander. This is just for bringing up any Pokemon that is on the bench and has damage. Because a lot of the time with this deck, you just swing for 100 every turn, or 130 or 160. You rarely one-shot. It happens occasionally, but rarely do you flip 3 heads in a row. But anyway, you'll do damage with Kangaskhan, and then a lot of times I just find my opponent will retreat that Pokemon and bring up something else, and so I need to Lysander that Pokemon back up so that I can take the knockout. And that's important because you can just keep hitting Pokemon until they have Pokemon that they can't retreat anymore. But the thing is, if you have a time limit like 30 minutes, like I do at my tournament, then you need to be able to take those knockouts. And this deck is slow, but the thing is, there's not really hard decisions. Like you just, once you get the idea for the deck, it's really easy to play. It's not at all a complicated list. All the complicated stuff is in the deck list itself. So yeah, it's actually not that hard to fit a game into 30 minutes with this deck. And then the energy is just 4 double colorless and 5 grass. I really don't think you need any more than that, considering after you set up that Mega Kangaskhan, you don't really need to put any more energy into play. So yeah, I just have this. This is just to make it consistently so I can get energy on Kangaskhan by like turn 2 or 3. So yeah, we have those. And then, yeah, double colorless obviously helps Mega Kangaskhan's attack, because it only costs colorless energy. But yeah, I think that's about it. So, thanks for watching. I know this is kind of a long video, but I felt like I needed to explain myself a little bit more with this deck because it's really weird and super rogue. So, if you like the deck, tell me if you have any suggestions for how to change it. I'd like to know too. Yeah, I've definitely changed this deck a lot. I mean, I cycled through like 20 different cards from my original list. I've been messing around with road decks a lot. Also, if you've seen the Flareon list that I posted like last week, you'll know that I've been messing with some weird cards lately. But they've been working. I mean, they're good decks. It's possible to make a good rogue deck. I know people think it's not easy enough, or it's like it's just too hard to make a rogue deck sometimes, and they just go with meta decks. But it's like you can definitely make something that's good. The one problem this deck does have is with Garbodor, though. So, but I'm sure if I included another Lysander, maybe even 2 more, and a Megaphone, I could beat Garbodor every time, because you just Lysander it up and then use Wham Bam Punch and knock it out, and then problem solved. So that's all you really have to do with that. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Leave a like if you liked, comment if you want to tell me something, and subscribe for more weird videos.